I still remember the exact moment my world tilted upside down. I had spent months, no, years, imagining my daughter's wedding day. I had been there for her through every scraped knee, every heartbreak, every late night panic over exams, and now she was finally getting married. I wanted to give her the happiest day of her life, and I thought I was doing just that. I had offered to pay for half the wedding, insisting I wanted to help make it special, to relieve some of the stress she and her fiancé were feeling. I was proud, excited, and even a little emotional, counting down the days until I get to see her walk down the aisle. But then I showed up at the venue, dressed in my best suit, ready to celebrate, and she looked at me with wide, terrified eyes and said, "Dad, you weren't invited?" I froze. The words hit me like a punch I wasn't ready for, and I had no idea what had gone wrong. Tell me, what would you have done if your own daughter told you that after all you had done for her? Would you have stormed out? Would you have demanded answers? Or would you have just quietly walked away, heart breaking piece by piece? It all started a few months ago. My daughter, Emily, had been dating Tom for over 3 years, and they were finally ready to make it official. Emily and I have always had a really close relationship. She's my little girl, my pride and joy, and when she was born, I promised myself I'd always be there for her, no matter what. So when she came to me and said they wanted a simple wedding, I jumped at the chance to help. At first, it was casual. "I can cover half the cost," I told her. She seemed hesitant, worried about burdening me financially, but I insisted. I wanted this to be perfect for her. I didn't care about my own budget. I wanted her to have the wedding of her dreams. We discussed the venue, the catering, the flowers, and even the small, personal touches she and Tom wanted. Everything seemed great, and we shared a few laughs imagining the day. Emily seemed genuinely excited, calling me from time to time to ask about arrangements. I thought I was being a good dad. As the wedding day approached, I was buzzing with anticipation. I woke up early that morning, ironing my suit until it was flawless, checking the boutonniere, making sure my shoes were polished. I even rehearsed my speech in front of the mirror a few times, trying to get it just right. Emily had always been so important to me, and I wanted to tell her in my speech exactly how proud I was, how much I loved her, and how happy I was to see her start this new chapter. I arrived at the venue an hour early, wanting to help with last-minute details and be there for any pre-wedding chaos. As I stepped inside, everything seemed normal. Guests milling about, the florist putting finishing touches on the flowers, servers carrying trays of drinks. I smiled, taking it all in. Then, as I made my way to the reception area, I saw Emily standing by the entrance, her face pale, her hand clutching the side of her dress. "Dad, you weren't invited," she said, her voice trembling. I laughed nervously at first, thinking she was joking. But the look on her face told me otherwise. My stomach dropped. I could feel my heart pounding, my palms getting sweaty. "Wait, what do you mean I wasn't invited?" I asked, trying to keep my voice calm, but I could tell I was failing. She looked down, avoiding my eyes, and whispered, "Mom and we thought it would be better if it was just a small family thing." Your name wasn't on the guest list. I couldn't believe it. I had paid for half this wedding, helped plan it, sacrificed so much, and yet she thought it was okay to leave me out entirely. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut, and all the memories of buying flowers, tasting cakes, and discussing seating charts felt like a cruel joke. "Emily," I said, my voice shaking, I paid for half of this. I helped make it happen. How could you do this to me?" She flinched at my words, tears welling up in her eyes. "Dad, it's not like that. Tom's family and I decided on a small ceremony. We didn't mean to hurt you." I wanted to scream. I wanted to storm out and never look back. Instead, I swallowed my anger and confusion and tried to understand. "You didn't even talk to me about this?" I asked, feeling a mix of betrayal and sorrow. "No," she whispered. I didn't want to disappoint you again." That's when it started to make a little sense, though it didn't make it hurt any less. Emily had always been a peacemaker, trying to avoid conflict, wanting everyone to be happy. Maybe she thought excluding me would prevent tension. But it didn't prevent anything. It just broke my heart. I wandered through the venue, feeling like a ghost at my own daughter's wedding. The flowers I had helped pay for looked like a cruel reminder of how unwanted I was in that room. I saw her friends laughing and dancing, unaware of the storm inside me. And yet, despite my pain, I couldn't leave. Part of me wanted to witness the day, to see her smile even if I wasn't supposed to be there. I took a seat in the back, hoping no one would notice me. I watched as she walked down the aisle, radiant with Tom by her side, and I felt a strange mixture of pride and sorrow. I wanted to cry, to run to her and tell her I loved her, but I couldn't. I wasn't supposed to be part of this, or so she thought. As the ceremony progressed, I kept replaying every conversation, every decision I had made. Had I done something wrong? Was there a sign I missed? I tried to understand, but all I felt was confusion. Around halfway through the reception, I realized I couldn't just sit there silently. I needed answers, and I needed to confront the situation, but I also didn't want to ruin her day. So I slipped outside, taking a deep breath in the cool evening air. My mind was racing. I thought about calling her, but I knew she'd avoid the call. I thought about confronting Tom, but that felt like an invasion. Then I made a decision. I would talk to Emily privately, away from everyone else. I knocked on the side room door and found her sitting alone, tears streaming down her cheeks. She looked up when she heard me, startled, as if seeing me there was both a relief and a terror. "Emily, we need to talk," I said gently. She nodded, wiping her eyes. I don't understand," I continued. "I've been here every step of the way. I've helped plan this. I've paid for half of everything. Why would you leave me out?" Her voice trembled as she replied, "Dad, I thought you would pressure me, or tell me what to do, or fight with Tom. I didn't want that. I wanted this day to be about us, about me and him." My chest tightened. I understood her fear, but that didn't make it sting any less. I took a deep breath. "Emily, I would never try to control you. I would never pressure you. I've only ever wanted you to be happy. Don't you see that?" She shook her head, sobbing quietly. I thought I was protecting you." We sat in silence for a few minutes, the weight of the misunderstanding pressing down on both of us. I leaned closer, taking her hand in mine. "You're my daughter. I should be there for everything, even the small stuff. Even if you think you're protecting me, leaving me out hurts more than anything else could." She nodded slowly, tears glistening on her cheeks. "I'm sorry, Dad. I didn't mean to hurt you." I hugged at her tightly, feeling her shake as she cried into my shoulder. I realized in that moment that our bond was bigger than any wedding plan or misunderstanding. I forgave her, and I hoped she could forgive me for feeling hurt. We stayed like that for a while, just holding on to each other, letting the emotions pass. And that's when I looked at her and said something I never thought I'd have to. "So? What now? How do we fix this?" She looked up, a small smile breaking through her tears. "We make the rest of the day about us being a family. Even if it's just you, me, and Tom." I nodded, and we returned to the reception together. I stayed by her side, watching her dance, laughing with her friends, feeling the joy of the day despite the rough start. I even managed to give my speech later, carefully wording it to express my love and pride without reopening the old wound. People clapped, and Emily smiled at me, her eyes filled with gratitude and apology. In that moment, I realized something important: love and understanding can bridge almost any gap, even when feelings are hurt and expectations are shattered. So that's the situation I was in, and I had to make a choice. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause and imagine yourself in my shoes. You've spent months, years even, helping your daughter plan her wedding. You've sacrificed money, time, and energy to make her dream come true, only to be told you weren't invited. What would you do? How would you handle the hurt, the shock, the sense of betrayal? Think about it, because that decision will define the rest of the story. After a few minutes of silence, I took a deep breath and made my decision. I wasn't going to leave. I wasn't going to let this misunderstanding ruin the only daughter I had or the relationship we shared. I returned to the reception and quietly took my place among the guests, making sure to keep a low profile. Emily noticed me, of course, and shot me a small, grateful smile. Tom caught my eye as well, a little awkwardly, but he nodded in acknowledgement. Throughout the rest of the night, I stayed engaged but careful, letting Emily enjoy her day without adding more tension. And you know what? By the end of it, it felt like the day had healed itself in small ways. We laughed. We danced. We celebrated together. The guests didn't know the turmoil I had felt earlier, and Emily seemed to forget the pain, at least for that night. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. And real is what matters. In the aftermath, Emily and I had a long talk the next day. We went over everything, from her fears to my feelings, and we both apologized for the hurt we had caused each other. She admitted she had been scared of my reaction, and I admitted I had let my pride and hurt get in the way of understanding her perspective. We promised to communicate better and to never let misunderstandings fester again. Our bond was stronger after that day, because we had faced a challenge together, raw and unfiltered. I even joked with her afterward. Next time, just don't leave me out of the guest list, okay? She laughed, and I knew we had healed. If there's a moral to this story, it's that sometimes the people we love most might hurt us without meaning to. Sometimes, communication fails, assumptions take over, and even the best intentions can lead to pain. But love, patience, and forgiveness can fix more than we think. My daughter's wedding taught me that. It reminded me that family is about being there, even when it's messy, confusing, and emotionally complicated. And sometimes, the biggest gift we can give each other is understanding. If you were on my side in this situation, go ahead and like this video. If you want to hear more stories like this, subscribe so you don't miss any. And I really want to know, what would you have done if you were in my shoes? Share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section. I'll be reading them and thinking about your perspectives. Family can be complicated. Weddings can be messy. But love is always worth fighting for. I'll see you all in the next story.